Welcome to the channel. Today I thought we'd do a little video about how to correctly set up and use your powder scale, your powder beam scale. Now the particular scale I have is an RCBS 502 and there are a couple of little niggles you have to look out for. Now I have got mine here, it's currently in pieces. There's a reason for that, because I tend to start, before I use the scale, by actually giving it a clean. Specific places to look out for are especially up here in that gap where it is magnetically dampened. I have had in the past where there's some filings or slithers or something that got caught in there, and they have actually then rubbed against the mechanism up here. So once we have cleaned that, the next thing then is to make sure that is clean, that all looks great. Yeah, and then you kind of slide it upside down, give it a twist and drop it into place. Okay, at that stage the next most important thing is that we reassemble the rear bits of it, like so, and like so. And now we have to balance the whole thing out. So what we'll do is we'll set everything to 0, like so, and like so. I'll give it a twist for you. So at this stage then, we have it on 0 here, we have it on 0 here, and then we level the whole thing out by manipulating the wheel. Now, I'm going to give this a twist now so it's level for me. Once you have leveled the scale, you don't really want to move it anymore, because if you move the scale around in a different location, level might look a little different. So you have to, when every time you move the scale around, you have to level it and make sure when it's empty that it's perfectly where you want it to be. Next step we're going to go from here is we're going to set up a trickler. Now I'm very fortunate, I have an electronic trickler which is over here, which is the Target Master, which is an excellent piece of kit. I'm not sure he's going anymore. Make sure that's all empty, make sure there's no powder in there. Then we can position that like so and like so. This is an auto trickler. So we can turn that on, push a button and it'll trickle for us. And as the beam scale raises, it'll interrupt the light beam over there and it'll stop. Now at this stage I will need the powder so I can load all this correctly. And the first rule that we're going to hit there is we only allow one powder on the bench. You don't want to get into a situation where you accidentally pick up the wrong tub or anything like that. So this is the tub I'll be reloading. That's the only tub of powder I have on the bench. And I will also use my powder measure over here. I will use the green one, which is an RCBS one, which is very good. And I'll cycle that a few times, make sure it's empty, and just in case I get mental, I'll also do this one over here. So they're both empty. This guy is empty, and I only have one powder on the bench. Now we're going to put powder in both our devices. I'll start with the guy over here with the RCBS powder measure. In that goes to about there, that'll do. And then I'll do the same over here. I'll just pour in a generous amount and we'll leave it at that. Now the reason I use the powder measure is because it's a shortcut. I'm going to throw about 95% of the charge with the powder measure, and then I'm going to do the rest with the trickler. I want 48 grains, so I will go to 45 and then I will add 3. And that gets me to 48 grains. Now we're going to double check that figure by using a cheap electronic set of scales that'll give me a digital readout. And that way, if for whatever reason I have screwed up this setting, I will be able to double check it on here. I will not use this to double check the finer amounts, because this thing isn't really that accurate. These electronic scales, they drift and all the rest of it. But about every 10 rounds or so, I will check it against this just to make sure that I'm staying halfway consistent. Alright, so my powder measure now throws just enough that the pointer at the end of the scale lifts up. So now the rest I'm going to see what this thing, what the Target Master does. So I'm going to push the button and it's going to dispense powder through the trickler over here, and that'll cut off automatically when we interrupt the light beam here, and you can adjust it up and down until it's just right. Now because I'm using a trickler and I regularly remove this little powder tray. It is possible that the odd grain will fall into this hanger, and it is important that you do a visual check before you measure, because as more and more kernels of powder land in here, your load will slowly decrease. So you want to toss that out and then put it underneath, or at least look for it, and then we can run it one last time. So now that we know that we are set up and we throw the right amount, a little bit of breathing out and your whole scale basically bottoms out. So breathing, airflow, anything like that, you have to be really careful of. We're then going to take this and we're going to measure it one last time on our electronic scales. I'm going to put it on there. We're going to tear it. I'm going to throw that back. And we're on 48 grains exactly. Okay, so at this stage we know that we can consistently throw the correct load that we need, and there are no ifs and buts about it. We haven't accidentally dialed in something wrong. Everything is good, and we're ready to now load. So we have thrown our 50 charges. Here they are, and each one of those now has powder in them. The next step is a visual inspection. So what I like doing, I like giving this a little tap, just so that the powder settles evenly. And now I'm going to inspect each case and make sure that A, there's powder in it, and that secondly, all the powder looks to be the same height. That there's nothing that sticks out or that looks like it is out of kilter. That all looks great. I think this one in the corner is the lowest looking one, so I will reweigh that. So the lowest one is fine, and now we'll check the one that looks highest, which is this one, which is almost next to it. This is, I'm not saying they are higher or lower, just visually it seems that way, and we'll reweigh that. And that looks fine. You might get some slight variation on the beam scale. That is normal. I mean, every time that you knock the beam scale, your measurements might change ever so slightly. And that looks fine as well. And we'll double check on this thing while we're at it. And that says that's fine as well. So life is good. And I'm going to empty out all my appliances, because I mean, obviously we're done now. So I will take my one tub that is allowed on the bench. I will double check it's the correct powder, and it is. And we're going to unplug you first. And then next is this guy over here. And pour that back as well. And then we have to make sure we empty the barrel. And that is that. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.